You're tuned in to
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Overcoming Obstacles with Jada Tennille James here on Intellectual Radio. And I am super excited to be joining you as I am on every Sunday. Today is our second Sunday in March. Very beautiful day outside today. So blessed to see the sun coming out, and I know people are out enjoying the weather. However, whenever you get an opportunity to listen or tune in or watch, you are going to be amazed. We have in studio today with us Miss Nyoki Hunt.
Hey.
I am so happy to have her here with me today. Today is Second Sunday, so that means that we are overcoming obstacles with youth and in education. So we are going to be talking to Nyoki about some amazing things that she has going on, that she has had going on for some time now, and some things that are coming up with her and what she does with young people in our community. So I'm excited about that conversation. I would just like to give a quick shout out to Wanda B, the host of He Said, She Said on Intellectual Radio. We just had an amazing time. We did two different segments. So the first segment, we were doing a lot of, stuff talking. And then on the second segment, we got a lot of information about the coronavirus and COVID-19. So if you did not check that out, please do, because you will be informed from both segments. We are here today talking about youth, and I definitely want to promote my latest two books, right? So, and the second one was not really a book that I wrote necessarily, but a journal that I created for young girls. And I did that in lieu of some things that I had seen going on, some things that I was experiencing personally with my own daughter, preteen, a teenager now, preteen at the time, and just a lot of things that I was noticing within the community. So I just created this journal. It's really simple, but yet quite powerful if it's used correctly. So what you will see inside of it, and I've been promoting it, probably not as much as I should. So for all three books, there's going to be a huge launch party. Trust me, because I definitely want everyone to know what's going on and what's happening with this Overcoming Obstacles series. So with the journal, it's honestly just some pages where the young girl can write, and she can just kind of just like a diary back in the day that we might have had, right? However, the cover might be a little deceiving. Anybody that kind of sees it may say, "Oh, she wrote a book," but honestly, the pages are just filled with lines. And then after a couple of pages, we have after about 10 or 15 pages, we have a reflection page where the young girl can actually answer the question, what have you learned about yourself? And so, if you've ever kept a diary or a journal, you know that if you go back and reread, you'll be like, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? What was going on in my life that day? And so, this is also, it has that reflective piece. And then at the very end, I ask three questions of the young lady. And the first one asks, how were you feeling when you started this journal? So there's always a reason why we pick up a diary or a journal, why we start chronicling our thoughts. It is. The second question asks, how do you feel now? What changed? And then the third question asks, how is your life going to be more positive moving forward?
I like that.
So it just gives them an opportunity to think once you actually get to the end of it. And honestly, what I like to think about it, once I actually saw it in print, I did create it, but when I actually saw it in print, I was almost like, she just actually is writing her own book, And so it's not that I am selling something. It's not like I'm trying to sell a book. No, honestly, what I'm selling you is the idea that you are book worthy. You have a story to tell. You are worth it. And on every single page that she writes on, at the top, it says, I am worth it. every single page says that. And
So it's
so
like she reading it, but she's saying it to herself at the same time every time she writes.
absolutely.
I
And
like
even if
that.
she is in a negative place, which we can be,
Hmm.
she sees those words at the top.
And when you reciting them as you reading them, it's like you saying it to yourself. So it's a constant reminder, and after a while, it becomes habit. I like that.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely. Just that whole idea of those things that I constantly think, those things that I constantly hear, those
Mhm.
things that I constantly say
Mhm.
will manifest themselves.
Mhm.
So I am so excited to be here with Nyoki. I finally got you in the studio. Finally got you on the
I
show.
know. I know.
So let's just get started. Let's just get
Okay.
everybody acquainted with you and who you are and what it is that you do.
So I am out of the Chicagoland area right here in the western suburbs. And what I do is I work with 14 through 24-year-olds. And my whole goal is to get young ladies to be okay with one, not being okay, because we all have those moments. And two, to be okay with knowing that, yes, we all have flaws, but God designed us in his likeness. So I put exquisitely in front of flawed because I want young ladies to realize the powerful impact that one word does to the second word. And if you get to a point where you can embrace your flaws while you work towards making improvements, it makes it less easy for the outside world to use those flaws as a tool of mental or emotional destruction.
I love it. I love it. It's like taking what you already know about yourself. I already know my
Mm-hmm.
weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when someone is trying to dig into me or come for me, as the young
Mm-hmm.
people
Yes.
say, it's really hard to really let that get under my skin.
If you have already embraced those flaws. Absolutely.
Yes, and what happens? What I've noticed is that I am 43. I think I'm 43. I'm pretty sure if my daughter watching, she'll be like, "Mama, you." So, but it takes a while
It
to
does.
get there. So
It
I think
does.
one of the things that I appreciate about what Naoki is doing is that she is catching young women at that age
Mm-hmm.
where, oh my God, if you have this tool in your belt, you could fix anything
Early.
early. And you don't have to
Because
wait until you're in your 40s
yes,
and
because
50s to
we
get
didn't
confident.
have the tools when we were in our teens and early 20s. Because I feel like during our era, it was more about graduating high school, going to college and getting a college education and getting a good job. Those were the things that were being instilled in us. Whereas the outside world was able to come in and tear so many of us down. Or when we were going through hardships, it was that much more difficult to kind of pull yourself out because we didn't have anybody feeding us those positives because we were so focused. Well, they were so focused on feeding us to succeed. So now the goal is to start feeding them that early so that they can kind of one, get it early, but two, we can close the gap on the increase that we're seeing on suicide.
And I definitely feel a connection. I feel a personal connection. I feel a personal connection to what you're saying because I think my mom definitely instilled in me independence,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got to be independent.
Absolutely.
Don't let a man define you. You don't
Ooh.
need a man for anything,
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt, God rest her soul, it was all about credit with her. And
Okay.
I wish I had listened a little bit more. But it was just, oh, get your credit right, girl. Keep your credit together, honey. Don't let nobody mess your credit up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do this. So I get what you're saying. But in the meantime, while we're focused on those things, nobody tells you how pretty you are.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody tells you that you are perfectly made and
Mm-hmm.
wonderfully made.
Nobody says to you it's okay to make mistakes because we have women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s making mistakes and they overcome them. So I like for me that was the biggest thing because it was just like if you made a mistake, it was like the end of the world. And it would just be like, oh my God. But then later on you find out, well, I wasn't the only one making these same mistakes. So
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
huge.
Yeah, opening up, being a little bit more transparent, I think
Hmm.
is important with our youth. Not necessarily saying, "Well, it's okay, it's cool if you go do this and that,"
Right.
but just saying, "Okay, listen, this is what happens. This could be the end
Hmm.
result of you, choosing to go down this path.
Right.
However, there's another path."
Hmm.
And if you decide to choose this path, you could have a better outcome,
Hmm.
right?
And now you have the options presented in front of you. And then after that, the decision is yours to make
Mhm.
because you have both sides of the game.
I love it, and I'm super excited because when I saw exquisitely flawed, I was like, yes, that's me. I am exquisitely flawed,
Hmm.
and I just fell in love with the name. I fell in love with what that resonated to me.
Hmm.
But I know that you have a whole story behind it. I know that it means something to you.
It
So
does.
please explain exquisitely flawed.
So exquisitely flawed for me, I was the same way. I kept seeing the phrase perfectly imperfect, and I felt like that was me to a degree when I reflected back all the way to like early adolescence. So I had been journaling since my teen years, and I just couldn't quite figure out which road I was going to take. And when I decided, okay, we're going to do something with it, you need to use your voice. The biggest thing that made me use my voice was I remember what it was like to be around all of my friends as a teenager and have to put on a mask like I was okay, but I wasn't okay on the inside because of what was going on. Whether it was the relationship with parents at the time, because when you're in early adolescence, you want to do what you want to do, and your parents want you to do what they want you to do, or the whole struggle with feeling like my friends are prettier because they're smaller, because like we talked about, nobody is saying you're pretty, people are saying you need to do this, you need to do that. So it was that struggle, and then there was the whole struggle with just boys in general. So I thought about that, and then I thought about being a young mother. So I wasn't a teenage mom, but I was 22. Really, we still kids at that age.
Yes.
But during our time, it was like, well, you 18 now, you on your own. So it was the struggle of being a young mom and feeling like I didn't really have anybody that could really land powerful impacts. Because when you have your peers at that age, that's one thing. But you need those elders in your life kind of pouring into you, saying what you should and should not be doing with your kids. Even though the reality is we don't listen to it all. But when you have somebody that pours it in, at some point it'll make you sit back and say, I remember when Big Mama said XYZ, so maybe I should do this instead. So I had those factors in conjunction with, now I'm raising a daughter, and I want to make sure she don't have some of the same hardships that I have. And then I was thinking about, and I'm raising a son, and I don't want to see him be the type of man of the young men that I was dating. So I had two kids of different sexes that I had to make sure that I was focusing on both of them, so that when they became of age and started dating, they didn't do some of those same things that either I did or I encountered. And then we had a more tragic event happen, and I was still in my early 20s. My sister's best friend, so we all had kids. My sister's best friend had a son, but then you know how it is, the relationship don't work out, you go your separate ways, and then you meet somebody new, and he's amazing. Okay, but can't he be amazing in Illinois? Like, why y'all got to move to Tennessee? So I didn't want her to move, but I felt like that's my sister's best friend, so that's not my place to say something, right? So I didn't say nothing. And then tragedy strikes. They get married, they move to Tennessee. She has their first child. She's pregnant with their second child. He murdered her firstborn. So there's this guilt that comes from not using my voice.
Mm.
So that was it for me. It was just like what catapulted me into, okay, I should have done this, but I did this instead. And then you think about all of these other factors that make you exquisitely flawed, and it was just like, okay, that's it.
Mhm.
The name literally came to me. I was maybe about 6 months from pursuing my first degree. I had a major paper due, procrastinating. I'm writing my paper the morning of class, and exquisitely flawed. When I say it came to me from out of nowhere, and it was like, that's it. Like, we gonna roll with it. And it was just like, I don't know where God is gonna take me on this journey, but I'm putting on my seatbelt and I'm about to get ready for this ride. And ever since, I use my voice, and I want other young ladies to know, even if your voice shakes, use your voice, speak up. So that's how exquisitely flawed came to life.
And it is amazing. I'm
Thank
pretty
you.
sure touching the lives of young girls and young women for how many years now?
We started in 2016 with
Okay.
the official title. So yeah, almost 4 years. In
Okay.
April 1, it'll be 4 years.
And through social media, I know we know some of the same young ladies, right?
We do.
We've been seeing that with
We have.
me having been in the education
Mhm.
realm in the Maywood, Melrose Park, Broadview area.
Mhm.
So I know that we know some of the same young ladies. So and I can imagine we probably were interacting with them around the same time at
Mhm.
some point, right? So
Mhm.
we know some exquisitely flawed young
Yes, we do.
ladies,
Yes, we
right?
do.
And I just I feel like there are certain things that make you exquisitely flawed,
Yes.
right? So you mentioned a few about yourself. Like go into some of the things that you have encountered working with some of these young ladies that have made them exquisitely flawed.
One young lady who I won't mention her name because
Mhm.
she's under 18, but there is one young lady in particular. I love her resilience. So resilience is huge for me because, not to say that other people are weak, but there is a certain strength that comes when you have to overcome struggle after struggle after struggle. And a lot of young ladies are not able to just bounce right back. But this young lady in particular, I watch her and she stay in trouble. She does. She stays in trouble. So I guess I kind of have a heart for the young lady that's always in trouble, but will get up and brush herself off and go again. Um, I feel like the only way for them to know what's right is to, like we always say in entrepreneurship, you just fail forward and you learn from your mistakes. And I love that about the young ladies that are just kind of drawn to me. Of course, there are my brainiacs, my honor students, but at the end of the day, each of them has something that they struggle with. But in that struggle, I'm watching them continue to push through. They have no problem whatsoever reaching out saying, Coach Hunt, I need to know XYZ. To me, that's huge because how many young people will actually reach out? A lot of them will just feel like I can handle it on my own, or they deal with it with their peers. But internalizing seems to be the huge thing. And I'm loving that after so many suicides that we saw at Proviso East, now my phone is being flooded. So it's like the message, unfortunately, they are grasping it through troublesome times, but they're grasping it. And that's what's major for me. So that's typically what I see. I see them knowing that they need to improve in an area and they're trying to improve in an area. And they get frustrated because it's like, I don't know how to fix it. You do know how to fix it. Just keep moving. Like you're fixing it. Just keep moving. So I see that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I work with younger children.
Mhm.
So because I am a second grade teacher, I'm encountering kids at 7 and 8.
Mhm.
But I try my best to interact with the older kids in the building in
Mhm.
some type of capacity.
Right.
I try to, because I don't want to lose sight of the fact that they're not 7 and 8 forever.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And I watch my 7 and 8 year olds grow up to be 10, 11, 12.
Mhm.
And it's just been amazing watching the children in the mostly Maywood and Broadview areas grow up.
Mhm.
It has been amazing. And I have 3 children. But it's just, I guess because I see my children pretty much every day,
Right.
you don't necessarily acknowledge the growth because you've watched it every single day.
But at the end of the day, it's still your baby.
Exactly, right. But to see a child that you saw at 8 and then you see them at 12, you like, oh my gosh, it's just this huge transformation. You feel like
Mhm.
it's been a whole caterpillar butterfly type
Yes.
deal.
And I can only imagine what that's like for you, because I feel like that watching them from freshman year to senior year. Like, I get so emotional with each set of seniors that I work with, because it's like, oh my. First of all, the time goes by so fast. And second of all, the transformation from freshman year to sophomore year is just mind blowing.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely. And yeah, so and I have throughout my career I've gotten to see that, honestly. And I just told my own age, but my God, my first year teaching was a third grade class.
Mm-hmm.
And in that class was a young man, a boy, but I ended up having his son in a first grade class. Now, mind you, he probably had a baby a little early,
But
but
still, right.
I was just floored. I'm like, that's your daddy. Oh, I was your daddy teacher. Sit down. Like I had
Right.
an opportunity to say that, and it was the truth. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
So, when you watch that,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. So now, yeah. So a lot of my girls, they are moms now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially from a group of third graders in 1998. Yeah, they're moms now.
Right.
So I encountered that, and so many of them come back now. With social media being the main avenue, they can hit me up in my inbox, or they can comment on something and say, "Oh, Miss James, I remember when you said this."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "You remember me saying that?" They like, "Yes." Now I know what you meant, though.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what you meant in third grade, but I know what you
Right.
mean now. So I think that's probably the coolest part.
It is for me too.
Yeah, and having an opportunity to work with young people, and you pouring into them. They don't quite know it at the time,
They don't.
but you pouring into them, and you know that everything you're doing is coming from such a loving and warm place for them. You're not the person that gave birth to them, but you feel so responsible sometimes.
You do.
For what happens to them, and for watching the decisions that they make.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only imagine what this has been like for you, what this journey has been like for you, and just taking on that responsibility.
Yeah. Like, I'm even in touch with some of the young ladies that I started working with, and around the same time. So my son was born in 90. No, my daughter was born in 97. So late 90s, early 2000s. So a lot of those young ladies are moms now. And this was before Exquisitely Flawed was started. And they reached out and said, I love what you're doing with Exquisitely Flawed. How can I be a part? So that's how I started to get the younger brand ambassadors. And whether we were going to court, because like I said, I'm attracted to the trouble kid. So whether they were going to court at the time, and now they trying to keep their kids out of trouble, and they like, Coach Hunt, I don't know how you dealt with us. And I'm like, me neither, baby. But from like watching even them on social media or interacting with them, it's just like, I don't think people realize, one, the blessing in it, but two, when you have the support of the family with what you do. Because I have also had some mothers that were not fond of the bond that is created and pulled them out of programming. I mean, you can't stop it, but then when they become grown, they reach out on their own. But it it is definitely life changing. But sometimes it's difficult because when you know what they're going through at home, and sometimes we take that home. Sometimes we have those sleepless nights, you crying about somebody else, baby, and you really don't have a whole lot of control. I've even had girls ringing my doorbell at like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning before I got married, telling my age. And my kids were small, and I would just let them sleep on the couch and reach out to mom and just be like, hey, she's okay, she's here. But we see a lot
Yeah,
through the years. We see a lot.
absolutely. It's been listen, if you are just tuning in, it has been a great conversation thus far. We have Nyoki Hunt in the building. She is finally here on Overcoming Obstacles with Jada Tennille James here on Intellectual Radio. And we are talking all things youth today. Nyoki does some amazing work, has been doing some amazing work with young girls between the ages of 14 to 24.
Yes.
And that's a critical, I mean, that's a hugely critical span of time.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing range that you chose, because most mentoring groups or programs will stop somewhere between 16, 17, maybe I don't know.
Even
A lot of them,
13.
yeah,
I've seen a lot cut off at 13.
because I get the idea of wanting to impact them at a younger age. So they have gone a little bit younger, like
Yes.
7, 8, starting around there with mentoring, which we probably didn't see back in our day. So I understand that, but to cut it off at such a critical age as such as 13 or 14, I'm like, nah, they need you way past that.
And I was very intentional when I picked the age because I remember what I needed at 13, 14, 17, 21. So it was just like, okay, let's go 14 through. And then I looked at funding streams. Typically, when you are looking at youth funding, it goes up to age 24, 25. Typically, the cutoff is 24, though, because they say the brain isn't fully developed until the age of 24. So it was like, okay, because I remember being a young mom and thinking to myself, well, when am I going to feel grown? And I was already 23, 24. Like, I still felt like a kid. So I was really intentional when I picked the age group.
And I think that was very, very smart of you and wise, because I know in having a 22-year-old at home, that's probably the biggest struggle, right? You live at home, which is cool because, mom and dad still pay the bills and all of that good stuff. But yet society is telling you, you're an adult. You can pretty much do what you want to do, but no, really you can't.
Right.
No, you can't.
Right.
So I understand that struggle, right? Adulting is not fun, especially when you're in that in-between phase of legally being an adult, but technically I stay at home and I don't really have a whole lot of responsibilities, so maybe I'm not an adult.
And then mentally having the struggle of still being unsure about so many things that you think and feel. So yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. So for all of you out there, for all of our, let's say 21, 22, 23-year-olds, right?
Right.
You're not crazy.
No.
You're quite normal.
Very.
And it's okay.
It is.
That you don't feel okay.
It is.
Right.
It's very okay. Because I know even in my 30s, I didn't feel okay.
Oh gosh. So not okay.
Even in my 30s, I didn't feel okay. And even now, sometimes in my 40s, I have days where I just don't feel okay. It's just like, yeah, not today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, not to make adulthood seem bleak, because it's it's just a part of life, right?
It
It's
is.
just a part of that circle of life. This is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You get older,
Yes, but
right?
you all are in what our elders used to refer to the growing pain years. Remember that phrase?
Yes, I do.
Because you are finding out about friendship and your personal opinions on it now as a young adult versus being a kid, and everybody was your friend. How you feel about your superiors at work, your colleagues at work, just navigating throughout everyday life, whether it's school, work, friends, relationships, and whether you're at home or living on your own, the struggle in both of those areas of life. These are what they call the growing pain years.
And just in understanding, I think what you do pretty well, Nyoki, and I think that's is part of the purpose of your program is helping young people to get a grasp of their emotions,
Yes.
right? And your mentality on things.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have an opinion on whatever you want to have an opinion on,
as long as you express it respectfully when you're dealing with your elders.
and understanding that everybody will not agree with you. So just because I don't agree with Nyoki on something does not mean that
Right.
we beefing. I'm not coming for her.
She a op.
Right. She the ops now. If I see her at a
Yeah.
party, we gotta go at it.
We
Absolutely
just
not.
respectfully agree to disagree. And that's where I feel like in this age bracket they struggle with too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a matter of understanding who you are and understanding how you fit in a room full of people that may not look like you.
Ooh.
That may not think like you.
Mm-hmm.
That may not want the same things you want.
Mm-hmm.
But
And may not even want you in the room, but you earned your spot in the room. So then you also want to get to a place where you don't shrink yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So then that in inserting that piece of confidence, right? It's a difference. It's such a thin line
It
between
is.
confidence and cockiness.
Ooh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that cockiness that we really can't stand.
Yeah. But the confidence is well appreciated.
Absolutely. That's what we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to see to know that you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So let's talk about brats.
Brats.
Yes. Let's talk about brats.
So
tell us what brats is.
We were about 2 years in, and I was trying to figure out how did I want to refer to them. Like I didn't want to just speak to their beauty because yes, they should hear it, but they are more than just a look, and I wanted them to know that. So I got with a small group of young ladies that are ambassadors for the organization, and I said, okay, so we need a name for you all. And when I say simultaneously, it was 8 of them. 7 of them, one of them was my daughter, and she's typically slow to respond because we dialogue so much in house. So 7 of them literally jumped in and was like, Coach Hunt, we like brats. And I said, well, I like it too, because technically y'all are brats. So, we laughed about that for a little while, and I said, but I need y'all to break it down for me. What does brats stand for you all? So they started kicking out words for each letter for me. So that's how we got bold, responsible, ambitious, tenacious sisters. So that's what brats are. What I like about it is it's catchy, because when I have a group of girls out in t-shirts that say brats, people are like, brats, we want to take pictures with them. And then after they take pictures with them, they want to dialogue about who are brats? What does that stand for? And it gets the conversation going. So it just worked out. And I'm glad that they know that they brats and they have those bratty moments. But we were able to also put some real impactful meaning behind the word as well.
I love it. And Wanda knows that I'm the acronym queen, right? So we always going back and forth like, oh, it can stand for this, it can stand for that. The W needs to be this.
I love it. That's me too.
My goodness. When I saw brats and I was like, yes, that's exactly what young girls are. They brats.
Are.
But you flip the script, you put an amazing spin on it. And I hadn't heard that story of how it was created, but the fact that the girls were such an integral part in coming up with what Brat stood for.
Because the only letter literally that I touched was the T. They struggled with the T. And I don't remember exactly what they were coming up with the T, but I was like, I don't like it, y'all. And we sat, like, we left it there. And then the next day it was like, they all so strong. And I was tenacious, like literally the next day. So when I kicked that to them, they were like, yes, Coach Hunt, that's it. Now, at that time, I had two girls at South Carolina State University, one at Jackson State, and then the other two were at Proviso East. And then everybody else was just like here. So we had this little messenger chat. So I'm talking to them, and I don't care what time of day it is when if they were in class, they would be like, Coach Hunt, I'll be right back. I'm in class. And I'm like, okay, fine. But once everybody was on board with tenacious, and I broke it down for them exactly what that means and how I see it, and each one of them, they were like, yes, that's it. So we were sold on Brats in maybe like a 30-hour span of time.
Yeah, I love it. And expanding that vocabulary, right? Like, to understand what tenacious means and to know that that word applies to me in some kind of way. And now I own that word. You know, it's not just a part of my vocabulary. It's not just a word I know, but I own it. So I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
So if you are just tuning in, and I forgot to tag you in my
I got to share it because everybody was like, take your tripod. And I was like, okay. And then I forgot my tripod. I'm like, I'll share it from her page.
Yes. I was sitting there thinking, I forgot to tag. I'm going to do a whole thing. I'm going to make sure
if I can share it right
I'm gonna make sure that we get this out, because we're gonna post it in the groups that let us post it. We're definitely gonna share, because I definitely want everyone to hear what we are talking about, to get an understanding, because I know someone that's a brat, right? But we are talking about brats that are, let's go over it again, bold, or is it beautiful? What's the B? Bold. What's the R? Responsible.
Okay, I just started the watch party.
Ambitious. Okay. Ooh. Bold, responsible, ambitious, tenacious sisters.
Because that bold, I feel like, so, with the Girl Code Summit, and I can't give away what we do at the intermission.
We're going to tell you what that is, but we're not going to give away everything.
Right. We'll give you a snippet of it. So to be bold, you have to be willing to speak up when everybody else at the table may want to speak up, but they not really comfortable doing so. Brats are comfortable doing that. Responsible kind of goes hand in hand with the bold piece, because responsibility is also knowing when to speak up. Ambitious is just, you aspire to do great things in whatever it is your vision is. And then tenacious is the strength, and then sisters is the entire body of the movement. So bold, responsible, ambitious, tenacious sisters. That's what BRATS stands for.
And I think even for the young people that tune in, understand that your circle, the people that you choose to move around with, while it's important, it is ever changing.
Yes.
Right. Ooh. So that's key. And you're going to feel compelled to hang on to those friends from elementary school or from high school. Especially if you go off to college and one doesn't, or that one that
or
doesn't,
go to separate colleges.
Oh, even that one that doesn't, though, she's gonna feel so out of the loop.
She is,
because you're gonna come home talking about sororities and fraternities. You're gonna come home talking about this class 101 or 120, and they just, it's not that they're less, it's not that you're better, it's just that it's so different.
And even before you come home, your availability changes, because now you're building bonds on campus. You're getting involved on campus. And if she's at home, she has a little more time than you have. That can also cause a divide. So I want to speak to both young ladies and say, it's okay. Like, I have seen friendships survive that one stays home and one goes away to college. I have seen girls survive. Both girls go away to different colleges, but I have also seen where girls do not survive that. Either way, just know it's completely fine, because at the end of the day, you both could have stayed at home and your worlds just started to merge into different journeys. So you have to be okay with knowing she served her purpose. Like, everybody is here, what does it say? For a reason or a season.
Or
And maybe
lifetime.
you all season is up. Everybody is not going to have a 30, 40, 50-year friendship. So,
Yes.
and then
those are rare.
Yes.
Those are
And
rare.
the other thing too is sometimes you have those lifelong friendships that kind of go through breakups like relationships do.
Mhm.
Because I had that. My best friends, I met them when we met, we were 9, 10, and 11. I'm about to tell my age. Nobody better not ever speak on it. We were 9, 10, and 11, and we went through a year where I was at a really bad mental space, and there was a rift between me and my best friends that was at my era. There was about 3 or 4 years, and then I finally had to own up to the fact that that friendship break was due in large part to what was going on with me internally. So now you have to reach out and you have to own that. Everybody is not willing to own that. And I don't mean jump in somebody's inbox and just act like everything is okay. No, you need to own up to the fact that you made a mistake. You need to be able to apologize. There needs to be some dialogue, because both people need to know how that happened in order for you all to be able to come back from it. And then, only then, I feel like, can the friendship be truly mended. So you have those, but like she said, those are a rarity. They really, really are.
And I'll even say, to go a little bit further, if you do have those conversations of closures, like what I like to call them, sometimes having those conversations are truly important and they are healing. But it's okay if once we have that conversation, we are still
absolutely
not friends.
Absolutely.
But just being in a peaceful state of mind, you can have your peace, she can have her peace, and there it doesn't ever have to be spoken of again after that, right? Because people like drama, right? The outside people are going to say, but y'all hung out tight. What happened?
Right.
Y'all were always together. What happened?
It's not even their business.
They really want to know what happened. And while that's probably just a natural sense of curiosity, you all's relationship doesn't have to be exploited, especially nowadays with social media being what it is. We didn't have social media back in our day. Thank God.
Oh my God.
I thank you, Jesus, that we did not have social media back in the 90s when we were coming up.
Ooh, Jesus.
Because it probably just would have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Right? So everything doesn't have to be aired, so to speak.
Yes.
You and that friend can have those conversations. You can have that closure. You can bring everything to a head and be at peace with what's going on and leave it right there.
Right there.
You don't have to continue faking a friendship, because that can get messy too. And
it gets exhausting.
It does.
You just, it's draining.
It is. So just being able to be at peace. And that does come along with age and maturity. But what Nyoki is doing with Exquisitely Flawed and her brats is getting you there a little bit earlier. There's nothing written that says, right? There's nothing written that says, oh, you won't get it until you're 30, or you won't get it until you're 40. If you can get it at 25, get it at 25.
Maybe get it at 25.
Because that makes life so much easier for you to live when you have a better understanding. Because the old saying goes, when you know better, you do better. Right? So Nyoki, myself, anybody else that comes at you from a place of love and mentorship are trying to get you to do better. Right? So for all my young people out there watching, you have been catching the episode of Overcoming Obstacles with Jada Tennille James here on Intellectual Radio, where we are talking with the lovely, phenomenal Nyoki Hunt.
Thank you.
What does Exquisitely Flawed have coming up? Let's talk about it. So what we have coming up
in just a few short weeks is the Girl Code Summit. If you have not purchased tickets, y'all,
Get on it.
this event typically sells out. So the first 2 years it did sell out. I know a lot of people like to wait until the last minute. I'm encouraging you not to wait until the last minute. Last year, I had about 15 people texting me that were upset with me. The day of an event, I typically don't check my phone because I'm working with all of the teams to make sure that the day goes as smooth as humanly possible. So, um, I extended ticket sales until the day of the event, the hour before the event. So we start at 12. Ticket sales do not cut off until 11.
She cutting it close, y'all. She doing y'all a huge favor.
So I'm giving y'all until the very last minute. Tickets are $25. I have raffled off a pair of tickets because what is happening is we are having a lot of people that love youth work but don't have the time, but they have the financial means. So they are sponsoring tickets. So you can also follow me on Facebook and be on the lookout for those raffles that we do. I had one so far. So I'll be doing a couple. I'll be doing one this week. I think there's two next week because I don't want to raffle them off all at the same time. But the Girl Code Summit is an annual event. It will be held at the Forest Park District on the second floor in the Grand Room. And the look this year will be grand. Every year, the Powerhouse panel is amazing. So I'm equally as excited for the Powerhouse panel that is speaking and pouring this year. After that, we have some international work that is happening, and I won't speak much to that, but I'm super excited about it because I just found out about it yesterday with the young lady who has her PhD. Man, a young lady that has her PhD. She is out of Wisconsin. She has an international event that I will be a part of. So when I said to a group of young ladies, we going international, I meant that. Like, this message is so broad and wide. We about to cross state lines. So with that being said, Girl Code Summit, March 28th from 12 until 3. Right here in Forest Park. That is the same spot that we'll be doing it at every year for right now, for at least the next couple of years. And then after that, it just kind of gets a little quiet. We do smaller, intimate brunches with young ladies. So we'll be bringing those back this year. And the brunches are just to get young ladies sitting at the table so that we can have those conversations where we agree to disagree about whatever the topic is for that brunch. But they get to see it's very different from what they see on reality TV because I feel like that is taking over their worlds. We can sit at a table and agree to disagree without throwing drinks at each other, without calling names, without swinging fists. So I love those because then they also get to see each other in an intimate space and see, man, I'm not the only one. That's huge. So that's what's happening right now.
I'm excited. I'm a part of the Powerhouse panel this year. It's the Girl Code Summit. Oh my gosh! And listen, I went through all of Nyoki's steps. I filled out my paperwork, and Nyoki went over it, and we connected. And I'm pretty sure she had to feel that vibe. She had to get a sense of who I was and what I was about. So listen, stepping out of that comfort zone, expanding your circle, not being afraid or embarrassed to do something new, talk to new people. I didn't know Nyoki. We know some of the same people, right?
But we didn't know each other.
Exactly. So that circle expanding is what I'm talking about. My circle has truly expanded. I am super excited.
Yeah, I'm super
to be
excited.
A part of what Nyoki has going on. So again, tell us how we can find you on social media.
So you can find me on social media. My organization page is Exquisitely Flawed, and because it's Exquisitely Flawed, we spell it a little different. So we got rid of the initial E, and everything else is the same. XQUIZITELY, and then Flawed is regular. There's a period in between Exquisitely and Flawed, though. I can drop those in the comment section for you all. It's the same on Facebook and Instagram. I also have people that want to get to know me personally. So I'm Nyoki Hunt on my personal page on Facebook. Let me look, y'all. Let me just be real transparent for a minute. My personal page is my personal page, okay? I work with a high school dance team. I share my kids on this page. I share my husband on this page. So I will allow anybody initial access to my personal account. But if I get any weird energy because I have kids on my page and I have consent from moms to share them on my page, any weird energy, I will get rid of somebody in a heartbeat. But on my business pages, we good to go.
Disclaimer, gotta get a disclaimer for social media. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been exciting to have you and to kind of allow this to be the kickoff for what we got coming up. I just want to let everybody know that you can always find me on Facebook. You can most certainly go to my website, jadatjames.com. Check that out. We have Phenomenal Black Woman is preparing this coming Saturday. This coming Saturday, the 14th.
Oh, that's why I couldn't come because of competition. Okay.
Yes. We are preparing for our 4th annual Vision Board Workshop, Declaring a 2020 Vision.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the tickets are $35. We have an amazing panel of speakers that will be pouring into the women in the room, Crown Plaza in Glen Ellen, Illinois. I need you all to come out. Definitely look on my page. You can go to the Phenomenal Black Woman page.
Mm-hmm.
I've been posting. I will be the keynote speaker at that event. So I want you all to come out and join us because it's more than just a vision board. Trust me. It is more than just a vision board. The things that you are going to hear, the people that you are going to meet, there is no price that you can put on what you're going to leave with. So I'm excited about that. I definitely want everyone to, if you have not joined Phenomenal Black Woman, you better get, now fellas, this is not for you. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I tell my husband all the time, maybe you should start Phenomenal Black Men so they can stop trying to troll in our group. But this is for the Phenomenal Black Women. This is for the phenomenal women out there who are just looking for a place where they can smile. Now, SMILE is an acronym, Nyoki.
So what's the SMILE?
SMILE means to support, motivate, inspire, love, and encourage.
I love it.
That's what we do in Phenomenal Black Woman. That's what I do. That's what I am about to take over the world and do. I'm going to teach you how to smile.
I love
If
that.
you don't have any one of these 3 books, I need you to get one. Get at least one. I'm going to come out with a bundle package and all that good stuff. But I definitely want you to take part in this Overcoming Obstacles series because
who not overcoming an obstacle? I'm just saying.
I mean, at some point, right?
Absolutely. A couple of points.
At some point, you got an obstacle or 2 that you're trying to overcome.
Definitely.
So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Overcoming Obstacles with James here on Intellectual Radio. And remember that together we can overcome anything.
Yes, we can.